She awoke with a heaviness that seemed to press on her chest. Each day was a mountain to climb, and she wondered if she had the strength to take another step. Even small tasks, making tea, folding laundry, sweeping the floor, felt like monumental efforts. Her spirit, long burdened by solitude, grew weary before the day had even begun. She sighed, feeling the weight of decades of responsibility, loss, and unshared sorrow pressing on her. Every morning seemed like a fight she was destined to lose, and she wondered if there was anyone to help her bear the burden. Her legs trembled as she rose from her chair. Her hands shook slightly, betraying the exhaustion that had become a permanent companion. Even lifting a cup of tea or reaching for a plate felt more demanding than it should have been. Her body carried the weight of years, bones weary, muscles sore, energy almost gone. She moved carefully, fearing a misstep, each motion reminding her how fragile she had become. Yet she pressed on, silently demanding of herself what her tired body could no longer freely give. Cooking, cleaning, organizing, everything was a challenge. No one came to help, no hands to lift the load, no voice to encourage. Even the simplest chores felt monumental, as if she were carrying the world on her frail shoulders. She often paused, hands resting on the counter, gazing at the tasks that awaited her, wondering if she could finish them all. Her home, though filled with memories, felt heavier because there was no companion to share the burdens. She longed for someone, anyone, to stand beside her and say, "You are not alone in this fight." Each night, she knelt by her bed and murmured her prayers. "Lord, help me, sustain me. I am tired." The words felt fragile, like whispers dissolving in the darkness. She wondered if anyone, even God, could hear her feeble cries. Her voice was soft, her hope dim, and often the prayers ended in silence, as if the world had stopped listening long ago. Yet somewhere beyond her hearing, he was already near, ready to answer in the way she could not yet see. Each night she knelt by her bed and murmured her prayers. "Lord, help me, sustain me. I am tired." The words felt fragile, like whispers dissolving in the darkness. She wondered if anyone, even God, could hear her feeble cries. Her voice was soft, her hope dim, and often the prayers ended in silence, as if the world had stopped listening long ago. Yet somewhere beyond her hearing, he was already near, ready to answer in the way she could not yet see. There were moments when she doubted herself, when the effort of living seemed too much to bear. She feared she was failing at caring for herself, failing at keeping things together, failing at finding joy in the midst of it all. The burden of these thoughts felt like a weight on her chest, a constant reminder of her limitations. She wondered if anyone noticed how hard she struggled, if anyone understood how tired she was of trying. And yet, in those moments of despair, a quiet voice reminded her, "You do not have to do this alone." Still, the nights were long, the hours stretching into what seemed like forever. She tossed and turned, unable to quiet her mind, thoughts racing through her head, weighing her down with worry. The darkness felt more oppressive at night when the world was asleep, and she was left to confront her fears alone. Her body begged for rest, but her mind would not allow it, and she lay awake, feeling the full weight of her isolation. And yet, in those quiet hours, a whisper began to stir in the silence, soft, reassuring, saying, "You are not alone. I am here." Her home, though filled with memories, felt impossibly empty. She watched families gather, friends meet, children laugh together, and she was left alone in the corner of her own thoughts. There was no one to share the weight of her burdens, no one to carry her heart when it grew heavy. She longed for companionship, someone to walk with her, someone to ease the pain of isolation. But even in her deepest loneliness, she could feel a presence that would not leave, someone waiting to bear the load, no matter how heavy. In the midst of her weariness, she began to sense something different in the quiet. It was not a sound, nor a movement she could see with her eyes, but her chest felt lighter, her breath easier, as if a gentle hand was brushing away the heaviness. For the first time in years, She felt a subtle reassurance, a quiet hint that she was not as alone as she had believed. It was persistent, soft, but unyielding, a reminder that she had been accompanied all along. Even in her fatigue, she could feel him drawing near. The warmth spread slowly through her chest, from her shoulders to her hands, like sunlight seeping into a long, cold room. It was not human, not fleeting, but a comfort that reached deep into her weary spirit. She exhaled, feeling tension leave her body for the first time in decades. The burdens she had carried alone began to lift, as if someone unseen had taken them, holding them carefully in tender hands. For the first time in years, she sensed rest, not just for her body, but for her soul. Her heart, once heavy with fear and exhaustion, felt steadied. Even though she could not see the hand, she knew it was there, firm yet gentle, lifting her spirit, supporting her trembling resolve. It did not demand anything from her. It simply held her, sustained her, showed her she was not expected to fight alone. For decades, she had borne every struggle herself. Now, finally, she understood that someone stronger was carrying her load. Her heart responded with relief and quiet gratitude. She inhaled slowly, feeling air fill her lungs like a gentle promise. It was a deep, full breath, the kind she had forgotten she could take, and with it came a revelation. She was not alone. Her struggle, her fatigue, her battles, none of it was hers to bear alone. The presence beside her gave her permission to rest, to lean, to trust. And in that simple, profound moment, relief washed over her, flowing into every corner of her body and soul. Tears fell silently at first, then more freely, like a river long dammed breaking through. Each drop carried the weight of years, the exhaustion, the fear, the burdens she had borne alone. She did not try to stop them. She did not apologize to anyone. She let the tears flow, as if each one carried a message to the one who had always been near. With every sob, she felt herself lighten. The heaviness that had pressed on her chest began to lift, and she realized she had been carrying too much alone. Now, the release was sacred, each tear a quiet prayer, each breath a step closer to peace. Amid the flow of tears, she heard it, a gentle whisper, almost imperceptible, yet unmistakably real. I am here. You do not have to fight alone. Her heart leapt at the simplicity of the words. They did not demand, they did not judge, they only offered what she had longed for in secret: courage. She felt strength returning, not from herself, but from the one who had never left. Even her body seemed to respond, her shoulders less tense, her hands more steady, her chest lighter than it had been in decades. Morning came, and she rose from her chair with a newfound ease. Movements that had felt impossible the day before now seemed lighter, more confident. Even her mind, once clouded by fatigue and worry, felt clearer, alert to possibility and hope. The simple act of standing and walking was infused with a quiet energy that she had believed lost forever. It was not a miraculous burst of power, but a gentle, steady renewal, a strength flowing from his sustaining presence. The sunlight now felt like a gift, not a reminder of exhaustion or passing time. She greeted the mornings with soft gratitude, her movements infused with a quiet rhythm. Tasks that had once drained her now held a subtle joy, a sense of purpose she had almost forgotten. Even small moments, opening a window, making tea, watching the birds, were transformed into signs of life restored. Each step, each breath, each smile reminded her that she was no longer alone. Her days, once heavy, now carried the lightness of one who is sustained. She began to notice little things she had overlooked for years: the smell of fresh bread, the sunlight touching the floor, the sound of leaves rustling outside her window. Each small detail carried a subtle delight, reminding her that life could still hold pleasure, even in its simplest forms. The joy was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet, tender, and pervasive. Even chores, once burdensome, became sources of satisfaction. Folding clothes, preparing tea, sweeping the floor, all felt infused with a newfound grace. Her soul, once heavy and weary, felt a lightness she had not known in decades. Her heart, long closed from years of struggle, began to expand again. She welcomed simple greetings, noticed neighbors' kindness, and felt herself responding to the world instead of merely enduring it. Her spirit, once tense and wary, now moved freely. She could laugh quietly, smile sincerely, and even dream small dreams again. Life was no longer a series of obstacles, but a flow in which she could participate. Her soul was open, trusting, alive. Alive because he had sustained her when she could not sustain herself. Evenings brought no anxiety or dread. She sat quietly, feeling a calm wash over her chest and mind. The burdens that had once pressed relentlessly on her heart were held by him, and she could rest. Her home, once heavy with silence and fatigue, felt safe and welcoming. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in decades, she breathed without tension, fully at peace in the presence of the one who never leaves. When her days on earth came to a close, she did not fear. She stepped into eternity, and the one who had sustained her through every struggle welcomed her with open arms. Every burden, every tear, every silent prayer had been met with his unwavering presence. Even in eternity, the lesson remained. Her battles were never hers to carry alone. He sustains, he carries, he remains. Her life, once marked by exhaustion and solitude, was now a testimony of grace, strength, and eternal support.